Hello YouTube family, James Green, short series Shenanigans. So today's episode is going to be part number 1 of probably a 2, maybe 3 part. It's going to be an interesting build. What we're going to be doing is making a tool to create your own leather cup. Now, you know, like I always say, size matters, and it definitely matters. So what it's going to be for is the Boyer-Schultz surface grinder. Let me get a drink of coffee and we'll get started. Even though it's cold, it's still good. So, set this over here out of the way. Alright, so, and recently working on doing a lot of surface grinding. Now, when I got the surface grinder, it needed a lot of work. I knew it needed a lot of work. So, I will say this. I did a lot to it, but I wasn't sure where all it was leaking. Now, after running it a lot, and I was working on, and we'll get to it, but we got to get the leaks fixed first, was grinding steel up for the strike faces for our anvil. So in the process of doing that, because I was running a lot in a 2-day period, like, you know, nearly 8 hours a day, this area I hadn't gotten to yet. It's the valve body and where the O-rings, where it fits in. I'll kind of show you guys what we got going on. I've got stuff laid out here. It's a mess, but we're working on it. So, I'll give you a quick zoom in over here. And I posted pictures of it on social media, on Facebook and stuff. What it is, the valve body that sits here, these O-rings got to where they were seeping pretty bad, but that wasn't the main leak. What happened was this cylinder that fits in here, and I've got it all tore apart right now. It's over there on the bench that works the X back and forth, was leaking a lot of fluid. It let go. We figured out what was going on, and so that's what's kind of generated, well, not kind of, it's what actually has generated, again, me and my projects. It's, oh wait a minute, I have to stop and fix or make or repair, but I hadn't gotten to that area. Again, when I got it, I knew it needed a lot of work, not a big deal. But what we did find out, so this is the tube cylinder off of it. Okay, it's got a spanner nut on that end, and then here's the other end that's open. Alright, now I've cleaned it up, looked inside, it looks really good. What had happened was, here is the rod I was unaware of. There was a nick up here near the end, a little burr, okay, that a friend of mine pointed out when I actually had it apart and I was trying to figure out what was going on. But so I had already replaced the outside seal here. I hadn't taken this cylinder apart, so I didn't realize inside, and I've since removed it, there's an O-ring that actually fits up inside of here. It had gotten split because at some time when I had collapsed this really far, and I didn't go beyond any travel means, it travels that far in the bore, that O-ring had sliced. So I was pushing fluid past that O-ring and even past the new seal. And plus once I got it out, I could see that had been boogered inside pretty good, and so we're gonna have to run a reamer through there. I'm gonna replace all the O-rings, obviously here, and then all the O-rings that fit up into the valve body on the outside. I'm not going to sit and show all that. It's just simple O-ring replacement. If you guys are curious and you have a Boyer-Schultz surface grinder, so this is the Challenger 2A, the 6x18. The Challenger 1A, which is just the X moving back and forth. Then the 2A is mine. It has X and Y that's hydraulically moved. So as far as I can tell, all those O-rings are original. Plus, also on the piston, we have leathers. Now, I did notice, even when this thing, I first got it fired up, and after the air was bled out, that this thing would still kind of, after it got to the end of travel, it would take a little bit for it to build up, and then it would go the other way. Well, when we got it apart, so if you have ever had a windmill apart, for those of you that don't know, a windmill, one thing that they use is leathers. and it's just a leather seal. It's a leather cup. That's what this has. It has two leather cups, opposing leather cups, so depending on which way the pressure is going. And when I got it apart, you could see where this leather cup, try to get the light to where it'll show. Anyway, so both leather cups have issues with them. Plus, as far as I can tell, these are all original. Now, I did take this apart and look in here. So I got to glancing online, just curiosity. I pulled it apart, and I'm going to take it apart now and we'll show you. I wanted to see if, because I know you're not going to be able to just pull up and order, you know. There are leather cups available online for certain things. Set this over here. So I've already taken pictures of this, so I know how it goes back together. So there's a very uniquely shaped dished item there. Okay, now I'm going to actually use these to help create my cups. So I got to looking, and I couldn't find the exact size of cup that I needed. So I thought, well, I'll make it. Well, I looked online. I just happened to, when I was looking, there was one old video made in another country, I don't know where, of one gentleman who had made leather cups. And here's how you make them. So I thought, there we go. I've got a machine shop. It's pretty simple. He was doing it with very rudimentary tools, but you know, making leather cups for your windmill, typically, you know, they're commercially readily available. These, they didn't have the sizes that I needed. Now, I could get some that are similar, but I wanted to make my own. Why? I like making stuff. I could buy some that are close, but rather than get some that are close, let's just make our own. That way we know they're right. So what we're going to be doing, this is mainly going to be, here's a real simple synopsis of what's going to happen. We're going to make a tool that's going to be like a form tool per se. Okay, put this back here. So, and that one's there. Slide this back together. So essentially what we're going to be doing is making a form tool to where I can make, I'm going to attempt to, you're going to have a bottom, so you have a pipe, okay. Now, I have leather on the way. The leather has to be new leather that isn't, that hasn't been treated or anything. It's just, I call it, it's just raw leather, rawhide, okay. It's stiff, you got to soak it either in hot water overnight or paraffin, either way. I used to do a lot of leather working growing up as a kid, so I'm very, very familiar with working with leather. I had never made any cups, you know, but I thought, I saw the video, and it was a very old video, and it had been seen very few times, so I thought, okay, well, let me bring this into the mainstream, do it on my channel, so if you guys are out there and you run into something where you need a leather cup, you can make your own. And leather, I was able to find some, because typically I used to buy stuff from a, I won't say the name of their business, but you know, a really widely known leather store. Some of their stuff, they've got one here in Albuquerque, and their stuff's pretty pricey, but I was able to find an individual down in Texas down in Texas who sells pieces of leather, depending on typically like belt length, width, stuff like that, or wallet size. Anyway, he had some couple different thicknesses. I won't get into it in this video. I will in the next one, but I've got some ordered. It's on the way. In the meantime, we're going to be making everything out of aluminum, because that way I don't have to worry about it rusting, because water is going to be involved. I'm going to use water. I'm not going to do the paraffin thing. So I'm going to try a couple different ways. We're first going to try, and I just started machining some. Again, you guys know me. I don't like to show a lot of regular mundane stuff. I'm going to walk you through what I've got done so far. So I'm going to try to either make them individually or in a stack of two. We'll see here. I'd like to be able to make in a stack of two, but more than likely the way he showed it, you do it one at a time. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to slide this back on here real quick so I do not lose any parts. And of course all this is going to get cleaned and everything before I go back together with it. Alright. And it's got a star washer with a lock nut on here, which is a pretty good idea. Keeps it from coming apart here. Okay. So we are going to polish this rod up. Like I said, I took a deburring wheel and I went ahead and deburred all that. I am going to polish this up just to make sure I can feel real small little ridges and bumps, And so I want to give this every shot possible. Now, people are going to ask, I've had people ask, are you going to use Vuna rings or regular O-rings? Here's the way I look at it. My surface grinder was made in 1962. It had regular O-rings as far as I can tell. They've lasted this long as far as I can tell. They're original. I'm going to go back with regular O-rings. We'll see. If it turns out they don't work, it's 2 bolts, it pops up, and then the O-rings are real easy to get to. They're really not that bad. So I've got you guys here at the end of the lathe. I'll go ahead and move you over here. So what I've decided to do was, I'm going to do a couple of them. Just again, so I'm not going to make the inside piece yet, because what the determining factor is, okay, I've already cut some pieces out. So here you go. Let me show you this. So here's another reason to get, you guys know I'm a fan of Hogan stuff. I've showed it before. So I've got, this is the large diameter hole cutter kit number 11078. Now you can get this at all industrial tool supply. I've had this set for a while. Matter of fact, I've got this set and the set just below it. So this set here is, and just so you know, if you need to order any replacement cutters, they've actually got the numbers in here. Okay, so this one goes from 7/8. It goes 7/8, 1, 1 1/8, 1 1/4, 1 3/8, and 1 1/2. Now you can get them larger. Typically these are sheet metal. I've got the large and small hole sheet metal cutters. Now these are awesome. So just as a side note, so this cutter has been used and abused. These are not cheap. This one, it was, when I was using this, it wasn't ideal conditions, and I've tried to sharpen it to save it, but I've had to order them. That's nearly 50 bucks by itself, so take note. These are meant for sheet metal, you know, depending on what's going on. Yeah, if it's that was my get out of jail free card right there, and it was worth the, you know, almost $50 to replace the cutter, and it's on its way. But we went ahead and went for the 1 1/4 because of the pipe that we're using here. That was the size. So these are really nice. I will say this about when you're going to cut into aluminum, and we want to, in this case, we want to save this part. Okay, so what I did first for locating, because what I've learned with these cutters in material, even though it's not sheet metal, it's aluminum, it's 3/16, is to just drill a pilot hole. You know, I just took, I don't know what size that is, just because we're going to drill it out bigger anyway, because it's going to go 1/4 inch. I've got some 1/4 28 all thread. Why I had a 1/4 28, I don't know. I happen to have it on the bench, but a good thing is I've got about 1,000 1/4 28 nuts over there, so that's what we're going to use. So just so when you're going to start, I will say this, go ahead and, so you know how these go together. What's really, really nice about these, everything's replaceable. You pull that and change your tip out. It's spring-loaded. Parts in the back. This one, the larger one, just so you know, is, and they are sharp on the sides. If you're not careful, and you go to grab and twist, and you will slice your finger open. It's, I mean, literally on the edges, these things are sharp on the sides. So, you put a wrench on there. It's supposed to have a glove or a rag to get it loose, or me, I got brass jaws on my vise. Put it in there, clamp it like so, grab a 9/16 or a crescent or an all 16ths, spin it off, good to go. So it comes with a little punch, okay, where you can, typically sheet metal should work. But what I've always done, and I had good luck with, take an awl or a small drill bit and just do a center hole so it goes ahead and locates itself. You have a lot better results. Otherwise, what it will do is, let's see if I got one here, show you an example of, okay, it'll dance around and it'll jump. Again, that was the first one I tried cutting with that jacked up cutter, and it just, I was like, oh wait a minute, I figured, and here same thing here. They try to jump around, I was like, wait a minute. I thought, well, maybe on aluminum wouldn't, but it still did. So went ahead, popped a couple holes real quick, started down, zip. Now we're using these. The reason I chose this is because I want to, the pipe that I have, it's in the lathe, okay, that diameter. So I went through my hole cutter and figured out, oh look, if I, and I haven't cleaned them up yet, because I'm going to do a weld prep. So we're going to put a base on it. Okay, again, this will all get cleaned up. I'm not going to do it all on camera. And I've actually done a weld prep. So I'm going to weld these up. Okay, drill a 1/4 inch hole through there so that are all thread fits. And because it's leather and we don't know the inside, and again, this edge has to be pulled off. What we're going to do, again, I'm going to be doing the little bitty short ones here. So I'm going to make several of these because I'm sure I'm probably going to melt some down. And I made several of these, got more of this. So I'm going to practice my aluminum TIG welding. So what I'm going to do essentially is we're going to have a bottom, the finished height, which is below this. So you have your draw nut, bolt, set up, some all thread, nutted on the back, and I'm actually going to weld it up. Just the all thread, the nut onto the all thread so it doesn't move. If you have a bolt, that's fine. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your bolt through here, okay, sticking through. You're already going to have your hole through the leather for the 1/4 inch, or correction, not the 1/4 inch. I will go ahead and do 1/4 inch to begin with. Now when I get to the final size, I've got a leather hole punch that I'll just go ahead and I'll cut it, and I'll show that in the other video. And then what we'll do, and we'll actually do it on camera and show you. So I don't know what size I need to make my plug that actually forms the inside until I get my leather, because that determines the diameter of your plug. Okay, even though they give you on leather sizes like 2, 3, 5, 4, and those numbers. Again, Google that stuff. You know, I don't want to go into explaining to it, but it's your thickness of leather. So you want to use leather that hasn't had anything done to it other than it's, you don't want to have it oiled or anything like that yet. You can't use an old pair of boots. It's not going to work, because what you need to do is when we get done, we're going to put it in here, let it set up, dry up, pull it out, and it should already have the size of the cup, and then we'll cut it and trim it and whatever. I'm going to make several this size, and I'm going to try making a couple that are taller to see if I can make an item inside, and I'm going to recreate other pieces that maybe I can make a couple at once. I don't know, it's just an idea right now. What typically you're going to do one at a time, and I'll show that. We'll go ahead and just show a little bit of lathe work here that we got going on, and I'm not going to show you guys all the welding or anything, but I will show you in the next video what we've got done. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make another one of these, and what I did was to determine how this long one was the whole length of that whole stack together. Now I did a rough measurement of this stack here, and it was 360 thou. So again, I'm going to make some parts in here, see if I can make a couple of these. I don't know, it's just an idea. Let's see if we can get it to work. Again, that's what's nice about this. If I can get to where I can make a couple at once in one, instead of just doing it one tool, which is fine, but if I can make an item to where, again, because I looked, I couldn't find readily, handy, easy, which is what I like. How many of us like to be able to go to the internet, our favorite store, our tool catalog? Like me, I like to be able to grab my old industrial tool supply catalog. Just so you know, they got their new website up. Give them a call, or get a master catalog. They've got them. They got their new website up. I'm liking what I've seen so far. I haven't had a whole lot of time to sit down and really peruse through it, but it's very, very good compared to the old thing that they had. So www.allindustrial.com. They are a channel sponsor, and they have a lot of great stuff. Matter of fact, you can get the Hogan, all the Hogan products they have. Even though they won't have it on the website, they will have it in the master catalog. Call, talk to Jim Henry, Jeff Perry. They'll hook you up with one. So we're going to make a couple of different tools through this process. I don't know whether we're going to do it one or we're going to do it a couple, but we'll see. Let's get started. Okay, I'll try to get you guys where you can see what's going on here. So a lot of this is just kind of like, let's make it as we go. The other thing is, on these surface grinders, on the Boyer Schultz, that piston, this whole piston is the same. That's why I want to make several of these up, so I can have a lot of these ready and handy. So if you guys are having trouble with, and I know Stan Zukowski has one just like mine, his may have trouble, or any of them that have a hydraulically fed deal, I'm going to make several of these and have them handy. So if you guys need one for this, and you have a Boyer Schultz, or it happens to be the same diameter, matter of fact, let's cut this real quick and then we'll go through it. Okay, we got up here. I'm gonna zeroing the edge of this tool with the edge of the pipe, and we're gonna roll it over 300. And, well, actually, before we do that, I need to make my weld chamfer. Let me do that real quick. And I'm just going to use this real quick. Just a little bit of a weld prep. Now what I've done to this tubing ahead of time is I've made it's 6061 T6 aluminum, is I've made a skim cut and I've pulled all the external off. So that way it's already cleaned and prepped. It's just an outside diameter. There's no critical dimension. I just pulled the outside off and cleaned it up. So let's come over here and zero. And 0, 0, boom. And then we're going to roll over 360 thou. Or actually, correction, not 360. I stand corrected. Let's measure it. What did I make this? This is, I'm sorry, 625 thou. It's 5/8. There we go. So it's 5/8. That's what it was. 5/8 of an inch. So 625. Let's try them up here, zero again. Make sure we're good. And 600. And someone pulled up in the driveway. I love my dog alarm. And 625. Good enough. Okay. And our favorite lube, WD-40, for doing aluminum. Now I'm not going to go all the way through to begin with. I've got an old junky file that I use just for aluminum. Break these edges. Continue on. Bingo. That's all we needed. So, break the edges real quick. Just so we don't cut ourselves. Alright. Alright. So we've got a couple of pieces. We're going to be doing some welding here. And the idea is, you know, I'm not sure how many of these is going to work real well, but I've got to deburr, and so I'm going to be setting up my grinder on my shop smith. I'm going to set it up, and so we're going to clean all this up, and we'll weld a bunch of stuff together. So we got plenty of this. We've got plenty more tubing. The insides of this is coming along pretty good, and I've got a lot of projects lined up. I know I've this winter has been killing me. I mean, man, I tell you what. But we're kicking butt. We're going through it. I've got a friend of mine here, just out of curiosity, because you've seen it up sitting up front here. So, had a friend of mine had a Milwaukee Fuel. It's just an M18. He was like, "Hey, it's a Sawzall." So I've got it apart. What it is, went to go release. What had happened was it got wet in the blade release and it wouldn't release. He futzed around. He says, "Hey, can you," because we were messing around with the vapor rust, because it was rusted. I don't know if it sat in a bucket. I think what happened is it sat in a bucket at a job site. It rained over the weekend, and what was interesting about it was, and I will say this, because Milwaukee does make good stuff. So this is what's left of. So the little ears on that little pin that's in there, the blade release, is actually powdered metal. It would not come out. So we sat at the end of it, and we pulled the rubber end off of it, and we had to cut the blade off because it wouldn't come out. Matter of fact, so we had to cut the blade off. Not a big deal. None of this would come apart. Now there are several videos on YouTube how to take these apart. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. So interesting thing, you can get all these little pieces for this whole assembly that include the pin, that you have the spring, that lock piece, and that little cap, all for about $20 shipped, which is nice. It's going to have the new pin. There's lots of videos out there on how to take it apart. What I did was, while I got him apart, because this thing was pretty funky nasty, we went in there and cleaned up a bunch. I took all the grease out. It had sawdust, and you know, they're just 12 kinds of funkification. There's a word, funkification. Don't know if it's in the dictionary, but hey, who cares? So we did take it all apart. We got it cleaned up. He's got the parts ordered. They're on the way. Pretty unique little setup. So if you do go to take one of these apart, I will say this, just as a side note, if you do go to take one of these apart and work on it, so the way this bearing, and this bearing is actually in real good shape, that fits onto this side here, that holds all of this in order to get this out, is left hand thread. Yes, left hand thread, and it's a Torx 40. Just so you know, if you go to take it apart, to get all that to come out of the casing, it's left hand thread, not right hand. So there you go, lots of stuff going on, waiting on parts to show up. Again, trying to get this fixed and out of the way. I've got the welder back, so we definitely want to jump on and hurry up and get the drawbar, power drawbar. I hadn't forgotten about it. We got that milled out of the way. Got to get the surface grinder back together so I can start grinding on. And well, I've got to do a bunch of mill work on this first. That's going to get moved. But while I've got this up here, I'm going to make some plates for it, fasten it down, because I'm going to fill, while I work on the surface grinder, the front cover was missing on mine when I got it. I've got the stuff cut out. I just need to fold it, weld it up. We're going to do all that. It's like while we're working on it. There you go, lots of neat stuff. You guys, I won't show a lot of this on YouTube, but I will do it on live feeds. I've got 2 profiles just there, so you're curious. On Facebook, I have my name, James Green. Then I have another one, it's Reese Green, my middle name, with this face. Yes, it's me. Anyway, so at times I'll do live feeds on typically my James Green profile. I'll do live stuff out here in the shop. Love for you guys to tune in, and that's when I'll generally show the mundane stuff. It's an open conversation, typically takes place later at night. On the weekends, can go through the week. It's live and unedited, unlike on YouTube, because everybody does watch here, so we have a certain, you know, teen rating we have to maintain here on YouTube. But Facebook, whole different deal, live and unedited, lots of great stuff. So thanks for watching. Again, give my buddy Keith Fenner a shout out. Love you, Keith. Looking forward to seeing you here pretty soon. I know there's Summer Bash is supposed to be coming out here pretty soon. This is 2017. I don't know if Stan's released the date publicly, but I know what day it is. So I'm going to try my best to make it out to Summer Bash. Look forward to seeing you guys out there. Again, thank you to All Industrial Tool Supply. You guys, small 8-man company in Southern California. Go look them up. www.allindustrial.com. Show them some love. They got all sorts of great stuff. Mention the channel and they could possibly give you a discount. I don't know. Ask for Jim Henry or Jeff Perry. Like I say at the end of every video, and I mean it, guys and gals, take care of yourself and take care of your family, because remember, at the end of the day, you and your family is all you got. Until next time, get out in the garage, find something to play with, because you know what? This stuff is fun. Click the like button down at the bottom. Spread the word about my channel. We'll talk to you guys and gals later. Bye-bye.